Schiff is accused of getting a mortgage for his house in Maryland. He got one mortgage, then I think he got a refi of some kind. Anyway, there's more than one round of documents. So one of the rounds is fairly recent. And in these mortgage documents, he attests under penalty of perjury that the residence, the house, is his permanent residence. Now, if you've ever applied for a mortgage, I think you understand you get a little bit of a better rate for a primary residence than you do for a secondary home. Also, by the way, secondary residences tend to be more difficult. You could get approved for a primary residence and get denied for financing, for a secondary home. This can happen. So there is an advantage. This is my point. An advantage to claiming a house when it comes to the bank getting a loan, that it's your primary residence. He did this in a residence in a state that he didn't live in. I mean, yes, he spends a lot of time in D.C., but in order to be a congressman, which he was back then, from California, you've got to live in California. And the law is pretty explicitly clear about it. So he's in trouble, doesn't matter how you slice it. He either was ineligible to be in Congress or he lied on his mortgage documents. What did I say about it yesterday? It's like a chess move. It's checkmate. No matter what move you make, you lose. Now, Letitia James, very similar, claimed that an out-of-state residence was her primary residence at the time that she was Attorney General, going after Trump. And, either she was in the state of New York living full-time, or she wasn't. If she wasn't, okay, she didn't lie on the form. If she wasn't, though, okay, then how was she eligible for her position in New York? A short answer is she wasn't, or she wouldn't have been. Now, I think we all understand what the actual game here is. They just lied under oath, under penalty of perjury. They lied on and defrauded a bank. Bank fraud. Complete, straight up bank fraud. That's what this looks like to me. Now, who's investigating this? Well, Bill Pulte, right, who's part of the Trump administration here, and he's actually oversees these any federal loans would fall under his purview. And so he gets into this. By the way, where was this? This was Saturday with Charlie Hurt on Fox News talking about, because he's the federal housing director. Pulte talks about these various problems that Mr. Schiff and Ms. James seem to have.
Well, in 1983, she says that her father is her husband to get a mortgage. Right. Then in the 2000s, she buys a home, which is listed under the certificate of occupancy in New York as having 5 units. You can only really get a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or other related mortgages if you have 4 or less units. It's because units that have units of over 5 are actually more risky. It's part of the reason we had some of the mortgage crisis that we had in 2008. This is a very serious issue. Then she had multiple free refinancings over the years, represented that the units were either 1 unit or 4 units, when really the certificate of occupancy said 5 units. Then, to make things worse, Charlie, she said that she had a primary residence in Virginia when she was the Attorney General of New York. She signed an affidavit. And on top of that, she had a second home, if you can believe that, in Virginia, that we believe is not her second home. So I believe this is riddled with mortgage fraud. And frankly, I think that's why she knew so much about the law in terms of how to go after President Trump. Was she was the fraudster, right, not President Trump.
Can I remind us all of what the case that Letitia James brought against Trump consisted of? Do you remember this was the Mar-a-Lago inflated value? Mar-a-Lago, who she claimed that Trump inflated the price of Mar-a-Lago. And, I'm not going to relitigate this, but what did she say? It was like worth 15 million, 16 million, something like that. Today, I could make an argument that it's an 800 million, maybe $1 billion property. I mean, it is extremely valuable. It's in one of the hottest, not temperature-wise, but price-wise, zip codes in the country. And when Zohran Mamdani becomes the dictator of New York, every last remaining wealthy New Yorker who doesn't want to get hung in the streets is going to end up in South Florida. And that's when Mar-a-Lago is going to be like 1.2, 1.3 billion. But I digress. It was absurd, right? And the banks came in and they testified, no, we got our own valuation, and we know Trump's value actually wasn't far off. And, that was a nothing case. That was a nothing case. This is penalty of perjury, declaring under oath a very specific representation about what the property is, what it will be. Trump never declared that it was going to be a multifamily home when he really intended to make it into a club, or that it was going to be a primary residence or anything like that. He could have done all sorts of things, apparently, in the spirit of Letitia James's dealings with banks. He didn't do any of that. He gave his value, what he thought the value was. An independent appraiser came in, he gave their value. The bank did their own number, and they let Trump the money, which he paid back. That was the extent of it. So you see why perhaps I, like you, we might get a little bit irritated when we hear from our friends on the other side of the aisle constantly tell us Trump is a felon. The people that were chasing Trump down were the biggest felons of them all. And yesterday on the program, I said that the walls are closing in on the Democrats. That after 8 years of hearing nothing but the media parroting claims, trying to outdo each other about how Trump was on the ropes, how it was imminent that his entire world was going to collapse, what happened? Trump emerged not only the clear, definitive victor of the 2024 election, he emerged billions wealthier and leading a political movement that has gained an enormous amount of strength and has literally taken over the Republican Party and stolen from the Democrats perhaps 15 to as much as 20% of their support. It's astounding when you think about it. This is not going away, folks. It's not going away, and it's going to get a lot worse for Democrats in the coming days, weeks, and months.